Thank you guys again for doing this. And thank you to the fans too for doing this with us. Obviously this is such a hard time, and it's a time to stay in and to social distance. And what a fun way, while partnering with Global Citizens for the Together at Home project or series, to watch the pilot of Friday Night Lights together, which we haven't done in 15 years. And also want to say to people out there, if they want to, have more information of how to take action and stop the spread, you can go to globalcitizens.org/coronavirus. So if you all have the pilot queued up, which you can go to Hulu or NBC.com for free to do. We want to play?
Yeah.
3.
Let's do it.
2.
Play.
Ready?
Yeah.
Go.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to cry.
Seriously.
Oh, there he is.
Gosh.
When Jason
Slamming.
It's I was really doing the math. This was 15 years ago. Almost 15 years ago.
That's unbelievable.
That's insane.
It's crazy.
I'm glad you got Derek in here, because I was going to have to be the oldest of like the kids, because I'm the oldest of like the young kids, right? Like, so I'm the one getting older first, and y'all are still looking all young and fresh. I'm 40 now with 2 kids.
Wow.
Yeah.
We went to Where'd Derek go?
Take, I don't know.
Call around my damn Hulu. I can't get my Hulu to work.
Well, it's okay. You can watch
This is not a slight on Hulu.
That's like the best
You
Billy
need my
Riggins
sign-in,
entrance
or
for
you
you
good?
ever.
You guys go ahead. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Oh my God.
Thanks, Billy.
Oh, crap. What have you guys
Oh, man.
What have you been doing? How have you been busying yourselves during this time?
I ride my bike 15 miles every day, and I walk 3 miles, and it's awesome.
Wow.
Getting rid of my belly. It got too big.
We love it.
I found a dude out in Westlake Village who had a set of kettlebells. I bought them for $650 just to have something to like work out with. And I got a weighted vest that just came in the mail today that I ordered like a month ago. So between my weighted vest and my kettlebells, I'm like good to go.
There you go.
You know, I find it's very interesting that you're not stressed out because you're not worried about the job you've got, and you're not worried about the job you don't have, because there's nothing. So there's no stress. It's kind of wonderful, actually.
That's a silver lining. Look.
I mean, that's one way of looking at it.
Right?
I'm single, Brad, so this has been a little bit tough for me. Like, you can't meet me, man.
Look,
It's tough. It's tough.
great, man.
Where are you guys? Has the show already started for you guys?
Yeah, I'm looking at
Yeah.
shirtless Derek Phillips and shirtless Taylor Kitsch right now.
Nice.
Oh,
Billy's waking Taylor
Scantily
Riggins
clad
up on
Aaron
the.
Blakey.
I remember
What?
first time I met Derek,
That was the first time I met you. Yeah.
and I'm viewing Amy Teagarden's screen. That's
I don't
really
know
bad.
why.
Yeah,
Oh, God.
the Alps.
Let's not.
Amy,
Let's get rid of
what
Amy
happened?
Teagarden's screen.
What is going on? Uh-oh.
It's just full of stuff.
Uh-oh.
And like
Zoom.
self-tape.
What is happening? Are you guys
Uh-oh.
on?
Why won't it?
If you click
a
on
million
swap
self-tape.
shared screen with video,
Is
it
that
should
better?
hopefully work.
That, but I can't see anybody else.
No.
I can,
Yeah,
There you are.
can see you. Oh, wait, I can see Amy too.
yeah, we
Yeah,
lost
we
gallery
can-
view.
Kind of like cycling through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gallery. Guys,
What
this-
happened?
This is off to a great start.
Try swiping your screen. Oh, you guys are on the computer, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
I really don't remember those mountains in the first episode. Is that in Austin by the lake?
Why is it viewing Amy Teagarden's screen? Amy, are you recording?
No, it won't let me record.
Yeah, but it says
It is. She's.
Because
It says
says-
she's recording now.
recording.
It says I have to ask permission to record.
Okay. Should we?
Oh, it
should
says
we?
sharing.
Should
Oh, wait, hold on. All right. Oh, hold on. There's something that came up. Stop share.
There we go.
There we
that
go.
better?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Should we start over?
I think
Let's.
everybody gets to see that, which is so fun for us technology, gifted people.
Yeah.
I had to go through.
Wait, so we're not.
with my
So we're not starting over.
And
Should we start over?
hey, let's start
I
over.
started. I started this. I started the show over to get Derek on board.
Oh no.
Oh,
Just edit.
Okay.
can we edit?
I'm just going back to Derek.
What do I do?
Yeah, Pete Bird made him put on women's underwear.
That's true. He did. And there was another girl in that scene when we started it. And then I don't know who this person was, but I think in the beginning we hadn't decided whether Billy was married or not. And so there was just some random girl who was in that scene. And then just never spoke of it again.
Didn't they? You also poured cereal over Tim.
I did. That was actually the first scene that we ever had, because what was scripted was a scene where I walk in
Underwear.
and you two are laying in bed and I go, it's time to get up, and I dumped a bowl of cereal on him. And all I remember is Paliki, all she had on was a pair of pasties. And I'm in my underwear and Taylor's in his underwear. And I'm like, this is the weirdest thing ever. I've never even met these people. And the first time I'm meeting them, all of us are in our underwear and Annie's in pasties. It was an interesting day of work.
It was. Who is this guy Pete Berg and why is he deranged?
Crazy. I remember.
So is everybody that's watching this watching the pilot at the same time as watching us to get commentary, or are we just kind of?
Yeah, as we're watching it, they're watching.
What part of the film? What
What?
is everybody at the point where Scott's being interviewed?
Yes.
No. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm a little past that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm watching Smash get interviewed right now.
Are you watching Zach do some
Saracen
dumpster diving?
pick up the plays out of the trash.
Great. We're all right together, right?
You know what? It's okay. We're all together, period, which matters.
Yeah.
Riggins is drunk. That's where we're at. I'm at the part where Riggins is drunk.
But that's every scene, so I don't know.
Yeah. Derek's going to be very far behind us, so
I think I'm
that's
caught
just.
up to you guys, aren't I? Or no?
Oh yeah, wait. There's Saracen picking. I'm the one that's behind. All right.
Okay.
Let's focus. My bad, guys.
Now we're doing Bull in the Ring with Riggins.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
this song.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually
This-
seeing Smash.
When Black Betty starts.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We got a commercial break coming up here. I remember that. And then we're good. All picked up during the commercial.
I don't get ads. I don't get ads on the Hulu. You got ads? You got to upgrade,
I don't
Derek.
know if I have ads on my Hulu.
I'm guessing you have ads. You didn't even know how to turn it on.
Take it easy.
Are you guys at the burger joint yet? Just got to the burger joint.
Oh my god.
Tell me
I'm
when you
still
get to the
watching
burger
Riggins
joint.
get
Okay,
Guys,
I'll unpause.
crushed.
I'm gonna unpause when you guys
Guys,
get here.
did you just fast forward to your stuff?
You know.
Guys, those are my favorite scenes. I'm actually smiling in that booth looking at you because knowing who you are and seeing you as Smash Williams was just awesome because I couldn't stop smiling at you. I'm like, this is an acting genius. And you're just so good.
Thank you. It was so much fun. I remember that day when it was like trying to get used to all the extras and everybody still learning who each other, who we were and coming together as actors. This was a cool sort of time to step into the world of Dylan.
That's awesome.
This was my first pilot season, the fourth pilot I ever auditioned for, and ever.
Really?
Period. I didn't know what I was doing when I showed up with you guys. It's insanity. And in that cafe, I was like, what is happening? I don't even know what is going on right now.
This was my 30th pilot season.
Peter Berg broke me for other television though, because it was my first show ever. And then I would like try to do everything we do on this show when I'd go in for other auditions, and they'd be like, did you read the words on the page? What is happening here?
For me, it was
what
like,
are you doing?
what's a mark?
That happens a lot.
Thing.
Yeah.
And then,
What's a mark? What's rehearsal?
There's Amy on mine.
I would go in and people would say, hey, we want to do it just like they did on FNL. And I'd say, okay. And we'd start doing it that way. And they go, wait a minute, where's the master? Wait a minute, we got to do the class. Yeah, I said, well, we're not going to do it the way we did it on FNL. We have to learn the lines? Oh, no, well, that's different. They always wanted to try to do it, but they never did.
it's unbelievable, like getting these seasoned actors who came in for reoccurring roles or guest spots who just didn't understand our show. They're like, wait, what? Where's my? I need to rehearse. I need to do this. You know, I get to go off book. What are you doing? You're not saying the lines. You know what I mean? People would actually get mad at you, and you're just like, this is work on this.
I remember there was an older actor who came in and had a scene with Taylor and I, and he was a seasoned actor, been around the block, and we're shooting the scene, and he just stops midway through it, and he looks over at Taylor and he goes, "Are you going to say that line?" And Taylor just goes, "No." The expression on this guy's face was like, "What do you mean you're not like my line doesn't make sense unless you say your line?" And we're just like, "No, we're not saying it." You know?
Wasn't that at the Broken Spoke?
No. No, this was at the Riggins house, but yeah. But I'm sure it happened at the Broken Spoke. I'm sure it happened in pretty much every location we ever worked at. Oh, there's Palicki with, for some reason in the pilot, they gave her like 45 necklaces. She looked like Mr. T.
She's like all blinged out.
Seriously, earrings, everything. Just, Amy, you're such a baby. You were literally,
Oh my God. My bangs, the whole thing.
How old were you, Amy, when we started?
I had just turned 16.
Wow.
Right, I remember you learning.
That's crazy.
That was a big deal.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think everything, like from when I moved up there at 16 till when we finished at 21, it was like, you know, adolescent years and formative years and kind of everything all together.
So how was that experience for you? Because I mean, like, it felt like it was just a totally different experience for me because I was already, you know, close to 30 years old. You were 16. It was almost like there were two different shows kind of going on. You know what I mean? In terms of like the social life, because outside of the show, I didn't see Amy very often because it would have been weird to be a 30-year-old guy hanging out with a 16-year-old, you know?
Yeah, I mean, Austin is such an amazing city, and but it's definitely a city that's geared for people who are over 18 at least. So like a lot of the music venues and things like that like Jesse Plemons and I would go to, we'd have to kind of go through the back door or something like that because they were like 18 and over. But yeah, I mean, it was definitely a very different experience, I think, everybody being a bit older. But I mean, I love Austin. I miss it so much.
Yeah, it was a good time. It was a great town. It is a great town.
That's a really good question that somebody asked, which is, how did you bide your time outside of the show? So what did you do offset?
I did what I do in every town I go to. I find a comic book shop and I find a karaoke bar. So there's a place called Common Interest on the north side of Austin. It's like karaoke 7 days a week. And I went to Bee Cave Comics over by Wesley.
I remember there.
And you said, what'd you say?
I went there with you once.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, they did a whole like comic book spotlight because you love Supergirl. So they were like a
Scott. You did like beatboxing at one point at like a restaurant we went to.
Lucky Lounge. It was called Lucky Lounge. I used to beatbox with a group called Boombox. Yeah, but then besides that, just played a lot of sports. We played flag football like every weekend.
Yeah.
A lot of the cast got together.
Flag football until Jesse Plemons tore his ACL.
Yeah, I still feel guilty for that because he was playing quarterback and he threw 3 interceptions. And I was like, no more, because they never let Taylor and I be on the same team. Because Taylor and I had to match up all the time. And if there's anybody you don't want to lose to, it's Taylor Kitsch, because you'll never hear the end of it. So I was over it. I wasn't going to lose to Taylor that day. And then Jesse walks out and I hear Taylor go, "Oh yeah, here we go, Clemens. I'm going to eat you for lunch." And then like he gets off, he takes 2 steps into the ground and you heard his ACL pop. And Kitch was like, "Oh yeah, standing over him.
And going, "That's what happens. That's what happens." And we're like, "Dude, he's seriously friggin' injured, Taylor."
We didn't realize.
Well, we didn't know.
No, we didn't realize.
No, we didn't realize. But it was always, and I would go against Taylor all the time, and I could handle the trash talk. But Clemens pushed a little too hard, and that was all over. But yeah, we all played basketball and stuff. We'd get together and do a bunch of stuff.
Yeah. I just remember mostly Taylor got a boat the second season of the show, so we spent a lot of time on the boat. And I remember specifically, I mean, our shooting days on this show were so short, especially for me. You know, I mean, I was only in like 2 or 3 scenes an episode. So I'd come in, and Taylor and I would go shoot our scenes at the Riggins house. Usually we'd shoot everything in the course of like a day. It'd be like a 4-hour, 5-hour day. And I just remember Taylor screaming at the crew, like jokingly, like, "Hey, hurry this up. We got to be on the boat by noon." You know, and I mean, that was the ridiculous thing. You'd show up for work at 6 a.m. and you'd be wrapped at noon. And then, you know, 1 o'clock, you're out on the lake, and we'd stay out on the lake till 5 or 6 o'clock at night, and then maybe go have a couple of drinks or whatever and call it a night. And then do the whole thing over.
I just watched Connie walk out of the room with her sachet.
Oh yeah.
The thing is, that walk away is everywhere all the time. Iconic walk away.
Epic move.
She's just the sexiest. She was like my best friend on the show. She's still one of my best friends, and I think we pretty much single-handedly drank all of the margaritas at Guero's. Probably almost every night.
Yep. Yeah, a lot of us lived in the same apartment complex, and yeah, you could walk down South Congress and you knew where Annie and Connie were going to be.
I would probably be there too. Yeah, it was fun times, guys.
It really was.
It was amazing being in Austin back then, because you guys who are not there now, or, you know, as we visited over the years, it's changed so much. Like,
yeah,
you know, it's like, go back there now and it's just a different place. I mean, all the iconic spots are still there, but it's amazing to remember what it was like when we got there.
Yeah.
Well, that skyline, all those condos, none of that was there.
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
right.
It was like Frost Bank. Frost Bank was like the only building, you know.
Guys, I want to say every 3 weeks there's a new building that pops up here. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like, South Congress looks completely different. Thank God they've the icons, you know, the iconic places. But right now, if you walk down the street, it's unbelievable. Like, I mean, it looks like a fake town because there's nobody here. And you get to see how really cool Austin looks, because it does look like it's out of a movie set. You know, all those really cute places like Guero's, for example, or, you know, Parts and Labor and the Spio. It's just, you know, it's very nostalgic and weirdly eerie right now.
Is Parts and Labor
Draft
still in
House
business?
is like a.
What was that? Wait.
Is Parts and Labor still in business?
They were one of the last to close. I mean, they stayed open when nothing else was open, and they finally had to close because
Your hamburger joint, I noticed, just recently closed.
Which did?
The one on South Congress, the hamburger joint where you guys did all those scenes.
Oh, that's
Oh man.
The place that doubled
France?
as the freeze.
Yes, Franz.
Franz. Okay, yeah, I remember Franz. Oh, man.
Well, there's a hilarious story about Franz, because there's another burger shop like Dan's, and it was 2 people that were married, and then they got divorced, and she took half of everything, including the restaurant chain, and she just renamed the restaurant from Dan's to Franz.
Well, it was Dan's and Franz, or was it that?
Dan's and Franz. Yeah. Dan's and Franz, but it was, yeah. So now it just said Franz, but there's a Dan's as well. But there used to be the same. Apparently, that's the story I heard. Whether it's a tall tale or not in Austin.
I like it.
But that place has changed big time. All you have to do is look at the original Alamo Draft House. You go to the original Alamo Draft House now on South Lamar. It is like a shopping mall. There's like a 3-story parking garage. Like,
wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like it's a whole complex now. It's like, oh man, they used to be just like a dinky old parking lot with 6 theaters or whatever. It was the dopest place to go watch a movie.
Yeah. Why do things have to change?
That was deep.
I'm getting real deep here.
I know. No, it's
But it was such a fun time, and I think all of us were in, Brad had worked a ton at this point, but for most of us, this was our first gig or our first big gig. And for most of us also, we were out of town. We were away from family and away from friends. So it really was just a wonderful experience. All of us got to hang out with each other outside of work. I find nowadays, I mean, when I work on a show, most of the time you wrap and you go home.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That was not the case on Friday Night Lights. It was, you wrap and, hey, where are we going to dinner? Or where are we going for drinks tonight? What are we going to do? And I think some of that was because
it was one of those things where, it was one of my biggest, like you, Scott, it was one of my, first big thing. And, it was the first time I ever owned an apartment or had an apartment by myself without a roommate, you know what I mean? Or parents. It was the first time I was on my own finally. And I really weirdly feel like it influenced and changed me as an actor, because it was like an acting lesson every day to use your own instincts, which Pete Berg really wanted to reinforce with all of us. I don't think I'd have a career today that I do without this show. It was, nor the beautiful friends that I have. We all really, really, truly loved each other, which is a rarity too.
Yeah.
Oh, this
How
is
about
awesome.
the Continental Club every night? I mean, it wasn't just you go there to see a certain act. You just go there like it's your regular hangout. You'd see great acts every night.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty crazy.
Brad, I can find you in this bio.
Brad just kind of
Pardon me?
encapsulated, even Brad wasn't from Austin, but he just kind of encapsulated like Austin to me. Like there were so many times I'd be walking down the street and I hear, "Hey man, what you doing?" It'd be Brad in his pickup truck. And it was a small enough town that those kind of things could happen,
Yeah.
Brad would be like, "Hey man, where are you going?" And I'd be like, "I'm walking back to the hotel." And he's like, "You want to ride?" And I'm like, "Okay." Just get in the truck with Brad. And there was one time we were out on the lake together, and I was like, "Oh, look at this jackass on this houseboat." And there's this massive houseboat. And I'm like, wait a minute, I think that jackass is Brad. And it's Brad waving to Taylor and I on the lake. And he's like, "Hey man, come on, you guys got to get on this houseboat with me." And Brad had a friend in town, or had a friend in Austin who had a houseboat. And so Taylor and I were with a couple of girls and went onto this houseboat for the rest of the day. And it's just, I mean, that's not going to happen in LA.
Small town. It was a small town 10 years ago. And about the time we wrapped was when they really started flooding in. I mean, it started coming in, but 10 years ago is when they came in droves, and that's what really changed the city.
It's true.
Yeah.
Now you can't even walk down South Congress without being shoved off to the sidewalk. I mean, it's
Really?
crazy.
But my daughter's there now, and she loved it. To her, it's just as cool as it was for us.
Yeah.
So, if you didn't live it, if you didn't see it before, if you weren't one of the people that grew up there, you can still love it. It still has the vibe.
It has the heart.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
This car dealership scene, or is everybody else in the car dealership scene?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
If you've worked on any other TV show, you look at a car dealership scene with like 17 cast members in it, you're like, this is going to be 2 14-hour days. If not, we shot it all in one night.
Yeah.
Like it's insane the way that we worked. And every little part of this is so good. I remember that being the night that I was like, this is for real. This is incredible. Cause they got Mac Brown, who had just won a national championship with the University of Texas. And he's in there acting with Kyle. And I was just like, I'm a huge football fan. So I was just like my head was exploding. I'm watching like Mac Brown wants to be a part of this. What is going on?
Yeah.
But we popped up all these, it was like one night, like a half day. It wasn't even a full day because it was all night for night.
That's crazy. I mean, there was an episode, I think it was the 3rd season, where my character winds up getting married, and we shot 18 pages in one day, which is unfreaking heard of. I mean, on average, on most shows, you probably shoot like 4 or 5, maybe 6. On average, on Friday Night Lights, we shot 8 to 9. But to shoot 18, that doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. Now, granted, it was a long day, but it was, I mean, we basically shot a third of the episode in one day. And that's just, I still blows my mind.
Shows, the schedule changes because you don't finish your day and you have to add on. This was the kind of show where like we were literally not allowed to leave the city because they may need us that day.
I remember that. Yeah.
Like we were out before lunch.
There was
you know.
there was days that they would have cooked a beautiful meal. Catering on our show was incredible, and they would have made this huge brisket and lobster, and then we wrapped 2 hours before lunch, and they're like, "What are we gonna do with all of this food?"
Yeah.
Well, no one's sticking around. You donate it or something. It was insane. But NBC, to their credit, got wise because they did give us 8 days in the first season, and then we were going home at lunch, and they were like, the second season, like 7 days, and then the third to fifth season, you're shooting 5.5 day. I mean, 5.5 day episodes, right? They were cross-boarding every 6th day.
Yeah. And the budget got smaller every single season too. Like it just.
Well, and I also just want to say a quick shout out to the fans because, you know, we were really on the cusp of being canceled so many times. And, you know, the fans of the show.
Keep the lights on.
Yep.
Keep the lights on. I remember that. Yeah.
There was like light bulbs being sent around, wasn't there?
Light bulb.
Sending energy smart light bulbs to GE.
Light bulbs. They're breaking in the mail and they're just getting glass all over the offices here.
And petitions, and it was off, you know. So thank you guys.
Uh-oh, here comes Bradley. Oh no, that's not the scene with Brad.
What's happening?
Look at how young Kyle is. I mean, look at how young all of us are, but
Yeah.
What scene are y'all in?
I'm on the scene where Kyle is looking at the house to buy. Like he and Connie are debating buying a house.
Got it. Yeah.
I'm at
They
the
just went through the locker room scene.
Hey, you guys
She does her
all still
his and
look
hers
the same.
closet scene. I don't know.
His and hers closets.
You guys all look the same except for Really Biggins, who's got that porn stash.
You don't like that, man?
I like it.
That's a quarantine stash, my man.
patch that really does it.
Uh-huh. A little flavor saver.
Wow. Wow.
Well, you look the same too, Brad. So everybody.
Unbelievable.
It's amazing how quick it turns from sort of salt and pepper to completely white. Happens quickly.
I had to learn to drive stick for this pilot. I'd never driven stick before.
Really?
Gave me that old red truck. Yeah.
Oh my God.
And all this scenery. Anytime I see Texas scenery and hear explosions in the sky, I start to cry.
Yeah. It's the one intro of a show that you can binge watch where I never, ever, ever fast forward. It's just like, because it's just so powerful to this show.
Have you guys noticed how so much of the music is copied constantly now?
Oh my
Especially in
gosh.
Everything.
Yeah, totally.
Everything.
Totally.
Anytime that there's a sports anything, they've got it.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. Is that Explosions in the Sky? Is that who that was?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, and also like the thing this was a very influential show. I don't know, about you guys, but noticing after the show came out, how many handhelds there were after.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. I mean, our operators, our camera operators were amazing. Like just being able to pick up certain things and everything, like you guys were saying, was so improvised that like walking in like the Taylor house, we'd shoot a scene and like you'd turn a corner and there'd be a camera operator in the scene.
Yeah.
And you just kind of keep going. Like the cross shooting was phenomenal.
One would roll.
They would just hide. They'd just hide everywhere. You'd see Boyd set the tone, and then Todd and Heather and Ian and Todd Campbell, and I mean they would hide anywhere. They weren't afraid to do anything, get under anything, be behind. I broke Heather's foot though because they were always moving. And the scene where I get in a fight with Riggins, I throw a bench afterwards, and she was sliding. She had a little stool with wheels on it, and she was sliding around to catch my facial reaction after I threw that stool. She didn't know I was going to throw it, and I threw it, and she had slid in, and it landed right on her foot and broke her foot.
It's not cool, man.
I took her out to a really nice dinner and apologized.
That's our female operator, y'all. I mean, she was
She's a beast.
Oh, she's a badass. Yeah, no, she's incredible.
And she was, she rocked it.
Is she still the head of the Texas Film Commission?
No.
She was for a while though, right?
Yeah, she resigned last year. The new guy took over. She's working out at the studios out there.
Okay.
She's still involved, but she's not the film commissioner.
Gotcha.
But Todd's
Here
fortunate to
comes
be
Clear Eyes
shooting
Full
in
Hearts
town
Can't
right
Lose.
now. There you are.
Look at that Texas sky, y'all. It's just nothing looks like it. This show.
Here comes the iconic. We already saw Texas Forever. Now we're about to see Clear Eyes Full Hearts Can't Lose.
You know what's funny to me about that Texas Forever line is I was actually in that scene. I don't know if you remember that, Scott. And right after he said that, I kind of thought that the Texas Forever thing was kind of cheesy. So I threw a half-empty beer can at Taylor after he said that line. And Pete wisely cut me doing that. And it became this iconic moment that at the time, I don't think any of us knew that that moment was going to resonate the way that it did. And it was going to be on T-shirts. And then it would wind up being like one of the last lines, if not the last line said in the show.
You know, when I go into Parks and Labor, the biggest selling T-shirt is a picture of Taylor Kitsch. Full Hearts Can't Lose.
Somewhere in Canada, his head's just going.
No. Somewhere down the
Oh,
street.
man.
He lives in Austin, though.
Yeah, he's in Austin.
Oh, there's our stunt coordinator on the first season, playing the coach of the opposing team in the first game, Coach Graff.
Dude, how big of a beast was the stunt double for Smash? Or was that you guys?
Yeah,
There were multiple
all-
doubles. They were like, to make Smash, we needed like all the skills possible. So
Yeah.
it was Mo, Cedric. It was a whole bunch of our team was amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I always use the example of when Aldous Hodge came in towards the end of the season, and they got James Brown, who had won Big 12 championships, as the quarterback of the Texas Longhorns to be his stunt double. So like you had guys who played D1 ball, athlete upon athletes, just doing all this stuff.
Oh no, I used to jokingly say that this high school football team with all of our stunt doubles would have crushed any Texas high school football team ever. Like,
oh yeah,
these guys were all former D1 pro football players.
Hey, Gaius, was that Cedric Benson?
I'm not sure.
Ceddy Ben was in the NFL at that time.
Yeah,
Ceddy Ben was
no.
Rest in peace. Rest in peace.
Because
Ceddy
you guys know he passed recently, yeah.
I
killed
don't
him,
know.
Killed in a motorcycle wreck.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But yeah, the guy that was my stunt double, Kevin Reid, he had played quarterback at the University of Central Florida, which is I played ball there, like not really played, but I was invited walk on at UCF my freshman year, and it was just cool that there was a guy who had actually played QB there as my stunt double. That guy is incredible. Kevin Reid's been in a ton of movies. Pretty much every movie you ever saw in the past 2 decades, it's football-based stuff. It's a lot of our stunt guys were on that team.
Yeah.
Coach Graff, that first season, he had a bunch of guys that came with him everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
He's a character.
A real USC coach.
I ever tell you guys my Alan Graff story? The first day on the pilot or during the pilot, I went to set and I was like, I'd like to kind of see the football stuff. Is it cool if I go up there? You know, it's my first gig. I didn't want to sit in my trailer all day. So I went and watched some of the football stuff that they were shooting. And I'm sitting there in Video Village, and this guy turns around, big solid son of a bitch, built like this. And he turns around and he goes, "Can I fucking help you?" And I go, "Excuse me?" And he goes, "Can I fucking help you?" And I go, "Yeah, I just wanted to watch some videos." He's like, "Who the fuck are you?" And I go, "Derek Phillips, I'm playing Billy Riggins." He goes, "Are you in this scene?" I said, "No." And he goes, "Get the fuck out of my tent." That was my first day with Alan Graff.
That's a pretty good impersonation too.
Oh, I worked
Sounds
with
down
him
2
too.
weeks.
He wasn't any nicer to me.
Gaius and Zach and myself, because Taylor hadn't been cast yet, we're down there for football camp like 2 weeks early, working with real coaches, going through all these drills and everything. They took us into the locker room with all the stunt guys, and I had just come off of doing an off-Broadway show about a struggling Christian boy band, and I had blonde hair like Bieber style, and they brought us in, and Zach and Gaius are standing there. He looks over, he looks at me specifically, and he's like, "Yeah, so I'm gonna try and make these guys look like football players. Just staring at me. Everybody starts laughing. It was cool though, man. They had like quarterbacks coaches from Compton College and all this stuff out there, like teach us, like putting us through our paces, man. It was pretty cool. A couple of weeks leading up into the pilot.
Awesome. That's awesome. Now, like, you know, I don't know about you guys, but I get asked the question every single time I'm interviewed, or even, you know, when I asked fans to mail in questions. Will there be a reunion episode? Will there be a spinoff movie? I know. The answer is no.
We got the reunion right here.
Exactly. Now, would you do a reunion? Like, would you actually, like, let's say they had a 10-year high school reunion episode. Bring back all the characters. Would you do it?
I personally wouldn't. I would love to do it because I love all you guys and it'd be great to work with everyone again. But the show just ended on such a wonderful note. I feel like it would just be a disservice to the show to bring it back on that level. But
I agree. But where do you think your character would be? Like, let's say you were at that.
I don't know if Billy'd still be alive for this. I don't know.
Good point.
I know what happens. You know, Buddy had to go through 2 years with no girlfriend, no woman, nothing. Yeah. I mean, after messing around on his wife and losing his girlfriend, and I kept asking him,
My mom.
Can I have another date? Can I ever be with a woman? And I never could. But what happens afterwards is that Bud Light, what I call him, Bud Light, Buddy Jr., goes on to take over the restaurant and turns it into a successful chain. And his mother comes back to visit him because she's so proud that he's turned into a good guy. And we get remarried and we live out right here behind where we are right now. And
wow.
I'm remarried.
I thought about that.
What happened?
Why do I have a feeling you sent this script over to Kadam's?
No, I ran it by him, but you know, the spinoff was a comedy. There was no drama in the spinoff, so they weren't excited about it.
Where did Smash end up? He ended up at A&M, right? And then
is that right?
Everybody asked me on like social media, like, did the Smash go pro? Did the Smash go? I'm like, how could this Smash not have gone pro? Like, I mean, come on.
Exactly. I think Tim and Tyra had all of the babies.
All of them, just all of them.
all of them.
I think so.
Jason, I think, and part of the reason that I wouldn't do, well, that I would be scared to be, because Pete told us at the end of the pilot at dinner, all the cast was there, and he said, look, I don't know how long any of you are going to be on this show, because this isn't Saved by the Bell. It's not, 90210, the college years. Like, it's about this town and about what makes this town work, and these people who are all fighting to get out of this town. You watch, Saracen's arc, or Street's arc, or Smash's arc, or Julie's arc. Like, everybody's trying to get out of Dylan, but it's still about Dylan, and they don't follow anybody anywhere, right? So like, all those characters are gone. Like, to be shoehorned back into that, the only thing that I think is probably Street, because he moved to New York. He's got a wife, a couple kids, successful career as an agent. Maybe he bought some land next to Riggins, and they do the actual, here's the good friends living large in Texas, maybe got some space, but between them, but get to see each other every now and then. But that's what I would hope for.
Cattle from crossing over and grazing on our land.
But outside of that, like, I don't know what else there really is to tell of Jason's story. They did such an amazing job, Jason and David, and all the writers over the years just did such an amazing job of completing so many characters' journeys. And from that aspect of like how they are connected to Dylan and how their story ended there.
The depth of them. Amy, what do you think? Do you think you and Maddie ended up together?
Me and Maddie. I mean, I think I loved kind of how it ended. Both of them, I think, making it out on their own. And I think that, I don't know, Julie, in whatever world she lives in, I feel like her and Matt are, I don't know, living life by their own rules. And I think just living honestly and just not getting stuck into anything specific. I don't know. I mean, like, I don't know where you would pick up with them 10 years later. I don't know.
I love it. I love it. I think that Tim is now the football coach, and Tyra has moved back and is taken over as counselor. And they're like the really messed up version of
Do you still use, do you take a line from your mentor and say, I can't let you grow up stupid, it's bad for the world? That's like my favorite Connie line ever in the guidance counselor's office. I can't let you grow up stupid, it's bad for the world.
And I guess
she had something today that she couldn't get out of. So
the
phone meeting. So
the way I'll never forget watching this pilot for the first time. We hadn't even been picked up yet, and they sent the pilot. You know, I was down in Florida, and I had a little brother and sister. My sister was born on my 15th birthday, and my brother was born when I was 18, so he was 6 or 7. We were watching the pilot, and he was watching it with us, and then he was like, "I don't want to watch anymore." And I was like, "Why? What happened? What's going on, buddy?" And he's like, "Scotty just died." I was like, "What? Oh my God." I was like, what after Street gets injured, that was my little brother's, that was what he took away from that. And he was like so impacted from it. And I looked over at my mom's bawling. I'm just like, oh my gosh, like this is the way they cut this together, like the victory and the injury and all this stuff. It's just like, I'm like reliving watching it for the first time with my family, and having never done anything like this before. It was just like such a surreal night to like watch this and then realize the impact that Pete and Jason had crafted in the filmmaking of this. It's crazy watching it again. It's been a long time since I've watched this.
Yeah, it's been a long time here. It was such a weird thing, like watching the pilot for the first time, because I had seen the movie, I had read the book, and I was such a big fan of the film and of the book. The first day when we got to shooting and I saw the cast, I was like, oh man, this is going to be some WB thing. They just hired a bunch of really, really good looking people. You know, instead of Billy Bob Thornton, we got the guy from the show with the cat in the newspaper, you know.
It's called Early Edition, and you're a fan.
That's
don't
what it
act
was.
like you don't love the show.
And I didn't think that this was going to be anything spectacular. I thought it was going to be some kind of like CW show, to be honest with you. Not there's nothing wrong with CW. But that's kind of what I thought it was going to be. And then I saw the pilot and I was blown away by it. And I remember crying because I'd been in this business for 13 years at that point with little to no success, and all of a sudden saying, I'm a part of something that's really, really good. And I was just so happy to be a part of this. And so impressed by everybody across the board. I mean, there really wasn't a weak link on this show. There's so many talented people. Yeah.
It was really amazing. And I'll never forget, you know, when Pete had us over to watch the pilot after it was done, and just thinking this is going to be the biggest show ever. And then all watching it together in, you know, Austin when it was airing, being like, this is going to be the biggest show ever. And the next
remember watching it.
Ratings came out, we're like, we're going to get canceled.
I remember
that moment. I remember that moment Monday morning when everybody was looking at their phones and like talking about the ratings and just like, oh my gosh, you know.
Packing up.
It was like 7.5 million, right? But we were up against American Idol. But it was like, now if you're a show that gets 7.5 million,
now you'd be
you're
oh my God,
you're a hit. But we were up against the Death Star of television. It was like American Idol at its peak.
But then they moved us. I mean, it didn't matter what we were up against eventually. We just didn't pull the numbers. And that's okay. I mean, it's still, this is a show that stood the test of time, in my opinion. I mean, I do remember watching it, Plicky. I remember you and I had just shot something that day. We were on like episode 7, I think. We were on shooting episode 7. And then the pilot aired, and we all went to the Hyatt, because we had like a screening the night that the thing aired. And I remember grabbing my arm like the minute she came on, and she was like, I'm on TV? I was like, yeah, this is crazy. It was really just such a fun, I can't even explain what that feeling was like to have that, you know.
It was amazing.
This thing that you've been sitting on that we had shot in February, and here it is October. And now finally everyone that we love is getting to see it, our parents, our family, our friends, the world. and just to be so proud of this project that you were a part of. You know, it was such a cool moment.
You know,
I don't know that anything will ever compare to that, because it was the first time. You know, for me it was.
Yeah.
People are still finding the show. That's the thing about it. You know, friends texting me being like, I'm seeing the show for the first time. And it's like, you know, it can, you know, stand the test of time, which is
For sure.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying earlier about that whole cameo thing. Since everybody's sequestered and they're watching these shows and then they're binge watching, all of a sudden all these cameo things on that Cameo app are picking up, and people are wanting to you know, talk to everybody, and it's very cool. It's very obvious that it's happening because it was going along slowly, and now that everybody's watching the show again, a lot of these people are watching the show for the first time, and they heard about it for 10 years, and everybody said, you got to watch this show, and they never did because they thought it was a show about Texas high school football.
exactly.
And finally, everybody realizes that's not the show. You know, it's a show about community and family and everything. Everybody. And when I went to Paris, I found out people over there knew. I mean, you know, they know all over the world. They watch the show because it's about something that they grew up with. They all had high school girlfriends and boyfriends and teachers, and they played a sport. It wasn't football, but they understand it because it's what it's about. And, you know, and everybody understands that.
You've gone to school with every single one of these characters, or you know these people. Like, that's the thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been all over the world with it too, Brad. And like, I've been to like India, and in India, you know, someone would come up to me like, Friday Night Lights. And I'm just like, what?
Isn't that crazy? It's crazy.
It's crazy.
I love it.
Yeah.
You know, I read the book. I read the book when it first came out, and of course, it hit home because I had lived it. You know, I'd lived it in Texas, and my sister lived in Odessa, so I knew Permian, and I grew up in Lubbock, which was close by. So when the book came out, they got to make this into a movie. Unfortunately, Varsity Blues, even though Friday Night Lights was being shopped around at the time, Varsity Blues got made before Friday Night Lights, which was certainly the opposite of our show. You know, it was a joke. It was a comedy. And when that happened, it was like, oh my God, this is not even close. Well, then luckily Friday Night Lights got made afterwards and the truth was told. But in the beginning, it was like, I cannot believe that they've taken this story and turned it into Varsity Blues, and then look what we got. So it was cool that the truth finally was told, and I got to be a part of it from the beginning. So fun.
Y'all, we're all at the hospital.
I don't remember the hospital being like the Jason's surgery. I don't remember it being as graphic as it is.
Yeah.
Like it's a beautiful scene, but it's definitely a lot more.
It was worse in the script. I went in. The reason I was up for Tarzan on Broadway and I didn't get it, but they offered me the understudy, and I went in and I said I want an out in case I can book something for TV. And the guy that was vice president at Disney Theatricals looked at me and said, what are you going to do on television? We can teach you to like be a star on stage, being an understudy. You're just going to be fourth handsome guy on the left on some WB show. Is that really what you want? And then I read this pilot, and it was even more graphic. They go through the back, they go through his back here in this episode, but how they really do it is to open up in front and go in, and they have to like move things around, and they have to try and repair and pin everything. And Pete wrote it, and I mean Jason and Pete, it was in such graphic detail in the script, and I was like, this is different. This is so different, and the way people spoke to each other was so natural. And my grandma's from Texas, and I grew up a football fan my whole life, and everything felt just so authentic in all regards. But then when it got to that scene where he's in the hospital and everybody's coming together, the way they painted scenes was just so incredible. Sometimes you skip that stuff when you're reading a script, but I never skipped a one word of them in between dialogue, which is, but it was even more graphic in the script. If you ever get your hands on the original episodic script for the pilot, it's a mess. It's tough.
Do you guys save any of the scripts that you've had?
I have every single one.
Wow.
I have every single script.
I have them somewhere.
Really?
I have a bunch somewhere too. Yeah.
I have a bunch. I had a storage unit in Austin. I finally cleared out a couple years ago. And like, it was chocked full of scripts, like so many scripts, like scripts and revisions. But now I just have boxes of scripts and random memorabilia and like
I don't care
Dylan
how
bumper
much
stickers.
space they take up.
I have a lot of Dylan.
I don't care how much space.
That's for sure. A lot of sweat.
It was always so fun though to read the scripts. Oh, nice. It was
I
always so
Aw.
championship ring.
to read the
That's
script.
amazing.
Yeah.
You'd read the
That's
scripts and
the
then you'd
actual
have this
one that
idea
worked.
of how everyone was going to kind of play a scene, because you'd start to hear the other actors in your voice, in your head, and then to watch it and see the interpretations. And it was always so fascinating. It's like, this is how I think Scott will play it, and then you see what Scott did with it, and you're like, oh man, he crushed that. That was totally different than what I thought it was going to be. So it was really like, I think, as much as I was a part of it, I was a fan of it and a fan of all you guys and your work and what you were doing every week. You know, it was so exciting to see how you guys were going to interpret a scene, and also knowing that we had so much freedom with it, that there was a good chance we may wind up changing some lines here and there.
Didn't you feel like after we were doing it, and in the beginning you just had to see it and see how they edited it, and it was so important to watch it every week, and I wanted to see it before the public saw it, to see what they were going to see. And then it became so much fun to actually do it, and the process became so much fun that I didn't even care if I watched the show. Just the process of doing it was enough, you know? And I knew it would be good. I knew whatever they did, however they edited it, it would be fine. So, and Kyle told me that in the beginning, because I used to beg him to watch it with me before it came out. And finally we did it for a while, and then he finally said, we don't have to do this. And then
I don't think he ever watched the show.
Yeah, he stopped after a while, I think.
Yeah.
More fun to do.
Yeah, we have all these.
Yeah.
We have all these questions from fans, and that was a question. James Nicholas Allen from London. He asked, "Have you ever watched the series all the way through?" No. It was they grabbed some questions from some folks for this, and yeah, I watched it all the way through because I just felt like I didn't know what I was doing, and watching Kyle and Connie was like a masterclass, and like I just wanted to soak up, and then like it was like beyond that, everybody else was just, I mean, there's a reason everybody from this show works to this day, you know. It's just like, it's crazy. Everybody was so talented and everybody was so great, and like given, and we were like also empowered too, like to like really fight for our characters and everything. And I haven't experienced that on any other show. And then watching everybody, you know, fight for and then be victorious, like scene to scene to scene, was just incredible. I couldn't stop watching. So yeah, I watched the whole thing.
That's something in particular with the show that I haven't had on a lot of different shows is this sense of ownership from every person, to, you know, me who had 2 lines in the pilot, to everyone on this show. Like there was a sense of, this is ours. You know what I mean? And
it felt like ours too, because of like where we were shooting and how close we were as a unit. And then, you know, going back and rewatching this, I recently rewatched the series with my husband who'd never seen it from start to finish, and it's so nostalgic. Now watching it, I feel like such an outsider because, you know, being so in the thick of it. But I'm watching somebody who is a character. I'm not watching myself. You know what I mean? I'm watching these characters, not my friends. It's very interesting after like a period of time goes by to really see it through different eyes.
I don't think I could watch it again. I think the nostalgia would just eat me alive, you know? It's tough to watch it right now just because it was such a fun time, you know? I don't know. It's tough. It's hard to watch it, you know?
Guys, did you watch it all?
No, for me, it is also hard to watch. It's hard to explain it to people as well, because I was just thinking, like, I don't think I can remember very many times, if any times, where I can remember somebody saying action or cut.
Yeah.
You know, I remember it as lived, like I lived in Dylan. You know, it was real life.
Right.
And that's so hard to explain to people. Like, I don't remember like being an actor on the show. You know, there are other things that I could say, oh, I remember that as being an actor on a show, but this I remember as real life. And so like all the emotions and all the ups and the downs, like I remember it as real life. So it's hard to watch.
Yeah.
You guys
That was something. Yeah, that was something.
and this audience, because this was such a big thing and people really, really wanted this, and spreading awareness for, you know, being at home together at home. And, you know, it's been really fun to see you guys and revisit this, and we should do this again. We should watch episode 2.
Yeah. Thank you for inviting us. I wanted you guys to see the trees.
Oh, they're beautiful.
That's good.
Hey, you know what? Gaius just said something that reminds me of the show, and Scott too. Everybody was talking about the lines and how it wasn't important, but what we learned to do as actors in that is we really learned to live in the moment and to say the truth, because you didn't have to follow the words. You just had to know what was going to happen in the scene, and then it would just happen.
Exactly.
And I can remember so many times when Kyle and I had a scene together, and he would just come in and look at the pages, and it'd be 2 pages long of us talking, and Kyle would say, I'm not going to say any of this. You just talk. You're the one that talks. And so we would just do that. And then he would just do his look, you know, his ridiculous look that he would do at me because he was completely flabbergasted with me, and he would leave. And the scene would work because it was true.
Yeah, but I don't want to discount what the writers did, because
Oh, of course not.
the positions they put us in, and the world they built around us, and I think somebody said earlier how they just started writing to us. Like I would read a script, and every word that was on the page was exactly like I could just hear it in that character, and hear it in that person's portrayal of the character. It was in their voice. And it's like we've all worked on tons of stuff after this that no matter how long you're on a show, they just can't write it in your voice, and you're constantly fighting that battle to try and be heard. And that was never a problem with it was such to have the intensely talented writers room that we had, and then have all of them have almost no ego was the most incredible thing. They were the most humble writers room, and yet the most brilliant people, and giving and generous. And you don't always see that in writers. So I don't
as you said about this group of actors, there's a reason why all those writers have gone on to write on numerous shows, been created their own shows across the board.
Yeah.
I mean,
They
so
all have
many
their
of
own
them.
shows.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all show runners, and they're all writing new series, and they're all incredible.
I think that's a big credit to Peter Berg and Jason Katims for really just, you know, hiring the right people and allowing them to create. And I mean, all of us, to just the freedom we had was, I mean, nothing I've ever experienced since.
It was so special.
Thank you.
Do we need to get to any of these other questions, or?
I have one that's actually kind of fun. I mean, it's not really fun, but yeah. So someone wrote, what would your character do in quarantine?
Oh man, Jason Street would be taking this time to get ready for the NFL draft. I've got the easiest answer. I'd be trying to get trying to sign the next big NFL star, and he'd have, man, I guess at this point, you know, a 12-year-old and a 10-year-old running around. So trying to run the homeschooling situation and trying to work from home. Jason be a little bit busy right now.
Well, Tyra would be having all the sex and drinking a lot. So
Oh, God.
I think my
I know that's right.
What would you do, Jules? Amy?
Oh gosh. What would Julie be doing? Probably reevaluating her life. I feel like she'd be taking a lot of stock in her life right now. Maybe doing some Marie Kondo, like organizing.
Is this what would they be doing if they
What would Billy Riggins be doing if Billy?
I don't think Billy still wouldn't be social distancing. I guarantee you. He'd have like a gas mask and like some kind of underground poker game going on in Dillon. He's trying to make a quick buck somehow, you know? And he'd probably be doing I know that they probably didn't finish building the house. You know what I mean? You're not supposed to be working during this time period, but Billy would be illegally like raiding construction sites to get cheap wood to finish building the house.
Guys?
I don't know. I was just trying to think. Look, because like the NFL would be shut down. Everything would be like all sports would be shut down. So probably having a fit somewhere.
Be working out in his driveway like T.O.
Yeah.
The
something
bike
like
in the
that.
driveway, he'd be doing crunches.
Yeah.
Like, I'm
With
getting
his
ready.
mama
Be ready for me.
When my mama yelling at me, you know.
Oh, Liz. Oh, I love that woman.
Yeah, I love Liz.
Love that woman.
Another one that I have is, who's your favorite character on Friday Night Lights?
Oh my gosh.
Oh, man.
That's too hard. That's too hard. Gosh.
I mean, Zach or Saracen, I mean, you root for all these characters in different ways, you know, but just like, it's tough to like watch a kid left behind by both of his parents, taking care of his grandmother in her situation and balancing it all. It's so tough to not just root for that kid. Like, and Zach Gilford just, oh man. Yeah. That scene where he's in the bathroom, he ends up in the shower and he's crying and his dad has come. I mean, geez, Louise. But I mean, it's so I think maybe I rooted for Saracen the most, but like favorite character, that's too hard to choose.
Too hard.
It's hard. I don't think I could do that.
That's why it's a good question. I think I'm with you. Just, you love every character separately for different reasons. So.
Yeah.
Who was? I could tell you the character I didn't root for the most. Who was that new QB that they brought in?
McCoy?
Oh.
No offense to Jeremy Sumter. No offense to Jeremy Sumter. But
no. What was his character?
J.D. McCoy.
J.D. McCoy. Yes.
And we named my son McCoy, and it was partially because we were like thinking about naming him Colt, but it was but we knew a girl's name was going to be Clover, and we wanted a boy, and we were having a boy first, and we wanted something that had alliteration. So we were looking at all these names. We're like, Colt is just there's too many Colts. We're like, what about McCoy? But I didn't even remember that J.D. McCoy was on the show. And after we had him, everybody's like, did you name him after J.D. McCoy? I'm like, no, absolutely not. Again, no offense, Jeremy, but J.D. McCoy is not my favorite.
No, nobody's favorite.
Well, no, Adrian, thank you so much for putting this together and bringing us all together and doing this. And thank you to the fans that sent in questions and stuff. We got Brock Arthur and Abby Olson, Wynn Baker, Travis Thompson, Allie Lee, Julia Ballou, Kelsey Fleming, Alex Nurafchan, Elizabeth Kober, James Nicholas Allen, Caesar Casanova, Morgan Williams, Ant Miller, Gilbert Galvin, and everybody that's watching right now. If you can find a place to give and you can find a place to really be in this all together, because I hear a lot, you know, we're all in this together, and we are, but not everybody's in the same situation, and it's just really important. And I think Adrian spearheading this was so important for us to get that message out there, just to give to wherever you can. If you're fortunate enough to have something to give, just share and really be in it together with everybody.
Share and just do what you can.
You know, one other person
I
think we need to thank big time. I think we need to thank Peter Berg big time, because he sort of brought us to life.
Oh, for sure.
Yes.
I love you guys. Thank you.
Love you too, baby.
Love you guys.
Love you too, guys.
Okay, don't be strangers.
Next time we get on, I'll share all the other stuff I stole from the set. Like, I got autographed footballs.
More things I have.
I've got autographed jerseys.
Amazing.
You got a whole store in there.
Got caught stealing shirts off the extras truck one day. That was not my high moment of the show. I love y'all, man. Adrian, thank you for bringing us together on this, and to everybody out there that's watching, thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you so much for being a part of this.
Love you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you,
guys.
everyone. Stay safe.
Great seeing you guys. Love
All
you
right.
guys.